Hey, it's Sandeep.
Hey, it's Patrick. Welcome to Moments of Brilliance, a podcast about life, laughter, and raising daughters.
Hey, everybody. We're back. We were off for a couple of weeks, but we are back now. Decided to take a little time off. Sandeep, welcome. Hopefully you've had a good couple of weeks off.
Yeah. It was good. Didn't do much. How about you?
I was very, very busy at work, so that's where some of the time off has come from, people. So
That's not time off.
well, it's not my time off, but it was time off from the podcast for a couple of weeks. But we are back in full force now.
Yeah.
So Sandeep, I think we have an interesting topic today, and you said you were looking up some stuff the other day. So what was that about? What were you doing?
Yeah. Cartoons.
Ooh,
Yeah.
a good topic today, cartoons.
I thought we'd take a little, segue from the whole daddy-daughters topic for a little bit, but not quite. I mean, you brought up an interesting fact last week, and then that's what gave us this idea to talk about cartoons. You were talking about watching.
Oh yes, so I was watching Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas with my daughter. So we were on Disney Plus there, and I just had this quick thought, because I don't know if all of you remember, you probably all watched Mickey in some form, but Donald Duck always gets so angry.
Yeah.
And one of the little shorts, and part of that was he was like freaking out, losing his mind over something with his nephews. And for a second, because it's not something Amelia sees, it's not something my daughter sees on TV all that much, is people losing their minds, getting super angry, like throwing things and like shaking and getting all red. So for a second, I thought, should I turn this off? This is weird, because she doesn't see that kind of stuff. Because if you look at the cartoons she watches now,
Yeah.
things like Gabby and like Bluey, they don't have that kind of temper tantrum that you. So it was a weird thought for a second, and I thought, no, F this. I'm not going to turn it off. Like it's dumb. I grew up with these things, and I don't have a crazy temper, and I don't get angry at everything, and I don't kick things. So I left it, and it was fine. And nothing happened. So it was just one of those weird thoughts for a second. But I think that got us a bit into our cartoon topic today, which was a bit around what did we used to watch.
Yeah.
Some of those interesting things. So you were looking up a list of, what was it, the top 20 cartoons from the 90s or 80s?
Yeah. As soon as I hit it into Google, I was like, oh, I used to watch this. I didn't watch this before, but I thought maybe we could just go through this list really quickly and be like, hey, Patrick, did you used to watch this?
Yeah.
And I know you said you used to watch cartoons in the 80s also. Because
yeah, well,
old,
I
right?
was born in the late 70s.
You're old,
and
yeah.
grew up. Yeah, I am old. So a lot of my cartoon time would have been, 80s. But obviously some into the 90s is some of the more grown up, but which I think there's some on your list. So let's go through. And today, do we have a point today on our podcast? We're having a little more fun on this one. It's getting close to Christmas or the holiday season, depending. And we're just going to have a little fun with it for the next couple episodes. So let's dig into this list and see what we got here.
Yeah, let's get a little bit nostalgic, because I was going through this list and I was like, whoa.
What do you got on the list?
All right. So number one. So, I mean, I don't think this is a top list, but here I'm just going to go through this list in no particular order, but I'm going to start from the top. And I don't think they're in any particular order.
All right.
Rugrats. Do you remember Rugrats?
I do remember it. Didn't watch it a whole lot. Haven't let my daughter see it yet.
Yeah. Rugrats was... So you must have... So in the 90s, you were probably like in your almost teens now,
I
right?
was.
Yeah?
92, I started high school.
I can't imagine you watching Rugrats then unless...
No. 92, I started high school.
I started watching Rugrats, yeah. I mean, to be honest, I was probably under 10 years old, maybe. It was a cool show.
Right.
I liked it. Yeah. Very interesting, like a lot of little babies planning stuff together. It was cool to watch back then. It was part of my like Sunday morning routine, I think. Rugrats.
Oh, yes. Saturday morning cartoons. Those I watched a lot of. I used to remember those.
Okay, Powerpuff Girls.
Nope.
Yeah, never was into that. Dexter's Laboratory.
Don't know it.
Yeah, you know what? That's not me either. That was more so my brother, who's 8 years younger than me.
I don't even know that show. I've
Yeah.
never even heard of it.
You know what? No, okay, look. Hey Arnold. I didn't watch that one.
Never heard of it.
Yeah. Doug?
Nope.
So I've heard of Doug, but never was really into it. Here's one that you might remember. I don't know if you do. I do. Gargoyles.
Yep. I remember Gargoyles.
Did you used to watch that?
Nope, but I remember it though. Boy, I'm aging myself on this one today.
Oh,
Wow.
Patrick's getting grayer as we speak.
I think I really am. Where's my cane or walker or something?
Oh man, I remember Gargoyles. You know, specifically, I remember watching it a couple of years ago just to relive it again. It was a really cool show. I used to love that one. I think that was like an after-school show for me.
Okay, yeah.
All right, how about something we're all familiar with, Batman?
Oh, yes. Yep. Yep. Used to watch Batman more it's funny. When I was young, I would watch repeats of the not Batman cartoon, but the live action one with Adam West in it.
Oh,
So like one of the originals. So like I would watch repeats of that.
nice. You know what? I've heard really good things about that one, but I never really got into Adam West's version of
No,
Batman.
I just saw it when I was younger.
Yeah. And that was really cool back in the day.
It was huge.
Yeah. All right, let's keep going. Okay, here's one I didn't really watch myself, but I watched it because of my younger brother, who's also again 8 years younger than me. Johnny Bravo.
Nope.
So this was on.
How old am I?
All right, maybe this is in the list for you.
Well, let's keep going because then after this, I can give you my old man list.
Yeah. Let's keep going. X-Men.
Knew of it, didn't watch it.
Oh, okay. This was one of my go-tos, like on a weekday morning.
But are you more of a comic book kind of guy in general, where you watch cartoons that were comic books more so?
Yes, cartoons that were more so comic books. Like I did watch X-Men, I did watch Spider-Man, I did watch Batman, but not into comic books per se. I don't like go to comic book stores, read them. That's not appealing to me.
Right.
Yeah, but I guess so. Like Marvel, yeah, I grew up big on Marvel.
Do you watch the Marvel movies now?
Yes, I love them.
See, and I've only seen a couple, and I've liked the ones that I've seen. I've seen a few, like obviously the first Iron Man and Batman. I love all the Batmans, all of them. Michael Keaton is the best Batman. I'm saying it right now.
See, Batman's DC.
I know. All right, fine. See, the fact that you know the difference just shows one thing.
I mean,
about
that's just basics.
For you, maybe. Okay, let's keep going with the cartoon.
But here's a tip. I think you should, if you're gonna want to watch Marvel, and I don't know if you look like you want to, but I would suggest.
I don't know what he's just saying about me because he said, "I don't know if you look like you watch Marvel." I don't look that old, people.
I would suggest starting at go on Google and find the timeline for the chronological order of the movies, and it sort of makes sense if you watch it in that order.
That sounds like a lot of work, and I'm not going to do that. But
anyway, you don't know what you're missing.
Let's go.
Okay, I never really used to watch it, so I know it was big. I used to play the video game Ren and Stimpy.
Yo, I used to love Ren and Stimpy, but I watched it as a teenager. We used to love Ren and Stimpy.
I don't know if your daughter's come across this show. It reminds me of Ren and Stimpy in a way, but it's not that gross. It's called Oogie.
I don't know if she's come across it yet.
OGGY. It's on Netflix. It's this blue cat. He lives with 3 cockroaches, and he has a friend who's an elephant.
I think we saw it once, and I don't know if she was a fan.
My daughter loves that one. We had to put Oogie posters in her room for a while.
All right, then.
Okay, this one for sure was one of my go-tos. I think it was an after-school thing, but I watched this almost every day for many years. Pinky and the Brain.
I love Pinky and the Brain. That was the best. The Brain was awesome, and Pinky was dumb as hell.
Oh my gosh.
That was a funny show. Again, in my teens, I watched that.
Yeah. I mean, I was probably, I don't know. I think I was probably a teen also. No, I wasn't a teen. Yeah, I was probably a teen.
Yeah.
Then. Yeah. That was hilarious. Like, it just sort of like good feel show to watch after school when you're young.
I don't know about good feel, but it was certainly interesting.
It's Pinky and the brain. It's funny. All right, this was another one of my favorites. Darkwing Duck.
Nope. Know it? Didn't see it.
Oh, I used to love that one for a while. Yeah. How about this one? So it stems from Bugs Bunny, which I'm sure we both watched.
Oh yes.
This is Tiny Toons.
Yep.
Tiny Toons?
Yep.
Yeah, you used to watch it?
Yep. The other one that's kind of related to that is Animaniacs.
Yes.
I used to love Animaniacs.
So that was part of Pinky and the Brain.
But see, that was another like more adult type cartoon with humor that was for not young children.
Yeah, that's when they started like pushing the envelope with cartoons a little bit, I find.
Well, and it was amazing because that was Warner Brothers, and that was them kind of trying to be a little hip in the 90s. They were getting onto the whole grunge scene, and things were a little edgier then.
Yeah.
Because if you remember, so like let's dig into some of the ones before we finish your list. Let's dig into some of the ones that I watched as a kid.
Yeah, let's go for it.
So we think about things like I watched Inspector Gadget.
Yeah, I love that one. That was my go-to.
The Smurfs.
No, I wouldn't, but
He-Man.
Love that one.
Not a cartoon, but still a classic, Fraggle Rock, which was an offshoot of the Muppets.
Yeah.
Watched all those. I think there was Thundercats.
Yes, Thundercats. I don't even remember what happens in the show, but I just remember when you say the word Thundercats, something comes to mind.
But like it's funny because like when I watched G.I. Joe, it was like the second iteration of G.I. Joe, not the cartoon, but like I had every G.I. Joe, all the base and everything. But before that, there was like the big G.I. Joes as the toys, and I had friends' parents who like had them sealed in the box and are worth hundreds and thousands today.
Yeah.
But like those are the types of cartoons that I grew up with, and you look at the difference between the 80s and the 90s. Your Smurfs and your He-Mans and your She-Ras and your the G.I. Joe. Then you get into the 90s where it was like super edgy with shows like Ren and Stimpy and
Beavis and Butthead.
Oh my! Okay, yes, I used to watch Beavis and Butthead.
You look like you would.
I did, and we quoted it all the time as a kid. Or not as a kid, as a teenager, because of course we were young and dumb, and I think we were probably drinking at the time. So, yes, younger drinking. I'm not that old.
Yeah, Beavis and Butthead, man, I never really got into that.
But look at the difference of these cartoons.
I know, right?
The 2 decades, and then you look at them now.
Yeah,
like I said, things like Bluey, Gabby's Dollhouse. Go Dog Go is another one on Netflix that Amelia likes. Fancy Nancy.
Yeah.
Complete difference. So they've almost gone back to the 80s ones because they weren't super violent in the 80s. They got a little more violent in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
There was, I don't know if you remember the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. That was a 90s.
Of course. I used to watch that every day before I used to start school.
And then it's funny because, like, forever, parents have thought cartoons are making my kids angry or making my kids fight. So they actually did a study on Mighty Morphin Power Rangers in the 90s. I think it was through Stanford University. And they took, a group of 12 kids. 6 of them got to watch Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. 6 of them didn't. The 6 who did showed immediate effects of being much more aggressive with each other, and the 6 who didn't. So I looked the study up just for fun, just to see, because with a lot of these studies, they have tried to say like cartoons and video games have, make kids angry and make them do they've been so many bad things for years and years and years.
Yeah.
So I looked up the study, but what the study doesn't say is, did those kids, were they already predisposed to anger?
Mm-hmm.
Were they in angry environments at home? Were they, like, they don't give you a lot of the background. So it's like, yeah, maybe immediately right after they want to do that. Sure, like, we were just at the Santa Claus parade on the weekend, and there was the karate studio came by. So immediately after the parade, my daughter wanted to just go and show us her karate moves. That didn't make her angry. She was just imitating what she saw that way.
Yeah.
But she wasn't angry about it. And she has seen fights on movies and shows, and she didn't. So I think, for me, it's just like, okay, it was a study. Great, fine. You see them for years. They're going to be around till the end of time. So it's like, whatever. But you see these shows and these cartoons, and people get freaked out about them. So
yeah, you know what? Like with these studies, just like with anything else, it's I'm no doctor, but like if I'm really interested,
you're not a doctor?
No, man.
Oh, fair enough. Okay, sure.
But like with anything, like right, you're gonna read these studies. It's like, I don't know, like, do you want to believe it, or do you want to take a deep dive into it? Do you want to follow it to the T? I mean, to be honest, like, I don't know. I'm not that type of parent. Every parent's different. Everyone to each their own, right? Like, if I read a study that said something like, Power Rangers today are like causing violence or whatever, but do they, or are they just entertainment, right? Is it entertainment value? If I see my kid like getting in trouble at school for something that they imitated on Power Rangers, we'll have a conversation. But like I grew up watching wrestling, and
me too.
Yeah,
I had all the figures.
I grew up watching, like, I was like big into it, and then like right around '96, and that's when it really took off for me, and that's when like they call it. So I watched WWE, so it was like the Attitude Era for me. So that was big, but like, yes, me and my friends, we would get together and we'd do wrestling moves on each other, and
of course
put each other in the sharpshooter and tap out and all of that. Like, did we really hurt each other? Maybe a little bit, but we were having fun, and like we hashed it out. We put dirt on it.
So two interesting questions though come out of this. One, would you let your daughters watch some of the cartoons that you watched as a kid today?
Yes, I would.
All of them?
Okay, if I'm looking at this list, like, okay, I wasn't really into Rugrats. I wasn't really into like Johnny Bravo and all that. There was, okay, so my daughter, I tried to get her into Spider-Man, but there's a Spider-Man mini, I don't know what they call it, a child version of Spider-Man.
Okay.
Which has some pretty valuable lessons in it. So they include all the Marvel characters. They're like mini, so almost like Tiny Toons, but they're like small.
Right.
She loves that one. And I think it might segue into like Spider-Man, the ones I used to watch. And
right.
I don't mind her watching that as long as it doesn't, she doesn't get scared. And if she's scared of like some of the characters, yeah, we'll talk about it. But
see, and I have a very, my daughter does get scared easy.
Yeah.
She watched the new Little Mermaid movie, and Queen Ursula, she had to turn around because it scared her. She is a very sensitive child, so these things scare her. So I don't even think she would watch some of them, but I think there are some I would let her watch.
Yeah.
Like I would let her watch, I think, He-Man and the Smurfs and some of those things.
So what's some that you wouldn't let her watch?
I absolutely would not let her watch Ren and Stimpy, Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Like there's this one show on Netflix right now. I don't know what it's called, but I saw my daughter watching it the other day. I can only describe it like with like there's two characters and they look like maggots, and it looks like it takes place outside on the streets in an alley somewhere, and they have different locations for each episode, but it's like garbage material sort of show. And I don't mean to say that the show is garbage. It's actually pretty funny. The characters are pretty funny. They don't talk a lot. So there's like maggots, there's like rats that live on the street, there's pigeons, and there's other things. But these characters, that they live in trash, they live in garbage. They'll find like things like noodles on the floor, and they'll do funny things with it, and it's pretty hilarious.
So why won't you let her watch it?
It's just full of like fart jokes, and so I'm
full of fart jokes. My daughter and I have fart jokes all the time.
So I'm not against that, but when it gets to the point where it's just like where all of that behavior is just like shown at home, and then sometimes it might be shown at school, then I'll slow, like, we have to monitor what our kids watch. At least I do. I mean,
Yes.
like, I'm not preaching here, but I'm just saying, like, if I notice something like that, I'll go to my daughter and be like, okay, like, I know you're learning all of these behaviors from this show. Can we slow down on it in real life? Just a little bit.
Yeah, I think where I draw the line on those shows, it's not, for me, it's not violence necessarily, because I'd like to think that my wife and I have taught my daughter enough to know that that's fake. It's not reality. You know, violence is not good. We've tried to be very, neither of us are violent people in any sense at all. So we don't teach that. We're hoping she's picking that up. So if she sees it on TV, she doesn't get that. But where I draw the absolute line is where there are like jokes of like racism of any kind. So some of the older like Disney movies like Dumbo, there's absolute racism in that, or cruelty towards animals, those types of things where you see that. I don't want her to think that's okay, and that's why I won't let her watch it. When she's older, absolutely go nuts. I want her to see some of those things,
Yeah.
and realize that some of them are terrible. And I realize that there's so much sensitivity and around it now. But I mean, I came up through the era of all these quote unquote terrible things, and I knew it was just jokes. It's nothing.
So
Because my parents taught me well enough. But I think it's a weird line.
yeah, it's a weird line.
It is a very weird line, and I don't want to. We're not trying to get preachy, but I think it's this weird line of like, why won't you? And I think everybody's just going to have personal reasons for not wanting somebody to watch cartoons. Not that
Yeah.
they're bad or good. Some are bad. Very just in general, people are like, this is a terrible cartoon.
Absolutely. I think everyone is like, be comfortable in your own household, in your own skin. Like, let your kids watch whatever you feel is right.
Yeah.
I have a question. So, like, even I do this, right? Like, why do we say, like, even I just said it, like, there's this cartoon that has so many fart jokes, and it's just like, sometimes it gets out of control at home. And then I wonder, if she's doing, like, if she's acting out at school with these jokes, and could get, you say it to the wrong person, you could get in trouble.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like, sometimes I think I'm crazy for overthinking. Like, we just said it. We grew up in shows that were like, some were racist, some were like aggressively violent, but like, we're fine. We were just overthinking. Like, we grew up now, then we transitioned as adults into this society where everything became so sensitive, and like, everyone needed to analyze everything, and like, I don't know, all these studies came up, but like, why are we stopping our children from watching these things if we're fine?
Well, like I said, there is the line I draw is if it talks about hurting other people, hurting animals without consequence, and any type of like racism or anything against anybody's beliefs, etc.
Yeah.
Those are just bad things in society inherently.
Yeah.
Those just shouldn't happen inherently. But if it's just silliness, like, I look at like Looney Tunes where they drop an anvil on the head. I'd let Amelia watch that all because it's just silly. That's not because that it is so far beyond. It's crazy. But you do see some that are like, we're going to hurt this person on purpose, and you go and do like, so it's just there are some that do cross that line for me.
Yeah.
Even though I know I've taught my daughter well.
Yeah.
So for me, that's it.
Yeah. So I guess everyone's different, I guess.
But my second question for you, though, is that I realized we haven't got back to my second question. And this is not meant to be sexist in any way for anybody. We're boys.
Yeah.
We watched wrestling. Not that girls can't watch wrestling. They absolutely can. I have seen in my daughter's school and with her friends, the boys tend to be aggressive, and they like to play fight, and they like to fight, and they like to roll around. And the girls, oftentimes, not always, don't. So we have this very different opinion as boys. If there were two women or two very different people sitting having this conversation, would it be different? I know that my wife's opinion on cartoons and what Amelia should watch varies in many places from mine.
Yeah.
Is there a... I wonder if there is a gender difference
Of course.
in some... Maybe there is, maybe there isn't, because I know some women who are more into some of the crazier cartoons that you talked about than I am.
Yeah.
So is it, I mean, it's just personal? Is it like, I don't want to generalize? I don't know. It was an interesting thing. So your thoughts on the boys versus girls versus...
Well, let me ask you this. If you had a boy versus a girl, like what sort of shows would you be watching with them now?
I'd like to think most of the same ones. That's probably a lie, though. I mean, things like Bluey, absolutely.
What about something like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, for example?
Well, I mean, my daughter went and saw the movie this summer and she loved it.
Okay.
The new one.
Even though it's a little bit violent?
Yeah, she went and saw it and she was fine. She didn't come home and start doing like ninja moves.
How about
I shouldn't say that. She did, but not against people.
Okay. How about wrestling or something?
Would I let her watch wrestling? See, wrestling's always known to be older people anyways, but would I let her watch wrestling?
Or if you had
not at this age.
If you had a boy, would you?
Not at this age.
How about
still not at this age?
How about, for example, like The Simpsons?
Ooh. You know, it's funny. In recent years, they've actually stopped Homer choking Bart like he used to every episode.
Yeah, right. I didn't even know
They have
that.
stopped that. The other thing they've stopped, which I kind of agree with, is Hank Azaria used to voice Apu. Apu is an Indian man, for those of you that don't watch The Simpsons. He's no longer voiced by a white person. That was something that Hollywood stopped.
I didn't know that.
Yes, Hank Azaria, and he has issued many apologies for having that accent for so many years.
Yeah, right.
So, like, he was actually voiced by a white man, and they've said now, why can't an Indian man voice Apu?
Oh, see, you know what? I get the point of where society's coming from, but it's entertainment. That doesn't really bother me. You know, I'm an Indian man. Like, it doesn't bother me. Like, it's funny. It's entertaining. I don't know who was behind that voice.
So yeah, it comes down to personal opinion on a lot of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. All right, really quickly.
Yes.
What are your top 3 cartoons from your childhood that you remember best?
Ooh, top 3 that I remember best. I think Animaniacs is definitely up there. Still, if I catch it now, I'll still watch it. I think G.I. Joe was always a good one. Top, definitely when I was younger. And not a cartoon, but still, actually watched it a couple weeks ago, Fraggle Rock. Still liked it. And I would let my daughter watch any of those today.
Nice.
What about your top 3 from being a kid?
I would say Spider-Man. And there's been so many different generations of the Spider-Man. I can't remember what one I'm talking about was called, but it was between, like, I would say late 90s, early 2000s.
Oof, geez, I was in college.
Old.
Ouch.
What else? There was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was huge for me.
Oh yeah, right. That was a good one. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's probably on my list. Number 4 or 5. Throw it in there.
That was really big for me. And you know what? Standing out to me right now. I mean, I'm gonna say Inspector Gadget.
Ooh.
But there's so many. This can't be a top 3 list. I'm gonna say some honorable mentions. Bugs Bunny.
Yes, definitely Bugs Bunny.
You never mentioned Transformers. I don't know if you mentioned Transformers.
Oh yeah, watch Transformers. Of course, I used to watch all the Mickeys because of of course, all the Disney movies when I was a kid. Watched them all. I still love the Jungle Book and the Disney Robin Hood. Disney Robin Hood. Loved it. Still do.
So you know what? I never really watched a lot of Disney. Like even to this day, like when we put on like Dumbo cartoon is like my first time watching it. Even like Little Mermaid, I still have not seen.
Maybe you just didn't like the movie.
I was more into like, the boy shows.
We know you were into comics.
No, I wasn't into comics. Anyways, I think we reached the.
I mean, that's our talk on cartoons today. I think it's certainly it's been a nostalgic episode for me, and go forth, everyone, and enjoy your cartoons. Have fun.
Yeah, you know what we should do next week? Maybe something about video games.
Video games.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I don't know if you played a lot of video games growing up.
I did. I had one of the original Ataris.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, we should talk about that.
Ooh, you're gonna be digging into brain matter there. Things
Yeah.
like Centipede and Pong.
So I never had Atari, so I'm not completely familiar with that.
You were barely around then.
Well, my first video game experience altogether started with a Commodore 64.
Ooh.
So I don't know if you
I didn't have one of those, but I had friends that have them, and I used to spend time at their house.
Yeah. You know what? That'll be a good topic for next time.
All right. We'll talk about video games soon. With that, folks, thank you very much, and have a good rest of your week.
See you, everyone.
Moments of Brilliance, a podcast about life, laughter, and raising daughters.